Welcome back to What Are Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the Super Chaffee. It's the Tier 6 American Premium Light Tank. It's located on the south spawn of Redshire under the command of Picklefish, and no engine noises again. Yes, wargaming. You keep letting us down. These replays just don't work if you start halfway through the countdown, and if you try to restart it, you get the tracks fail. So, yeah, it's much rather than have the tracks stationary and just the standard tone engine, we play it without. Anyway, enough of that. The Super Chaffee never actually existed. No, I'm afraid it's a design only. And oh, he's been spotted straight away by that 5916. That was a proximity spot, and narrowly, oh, the T78 gets a 90mm into him, so he loses 238 to that. But anyway, he's still fighting. Now, he's got 3 marks of excellence on the barrel, and he's also got loads of ace tankers, loads of masteries. You can see that from the award. The gun is a 76mm, capable of doing 115 alpha, penetrating 120mm with standard ammo. And with the premium rounds, it will actually go through 155mm. It's actually a design on paper only, the Super Chaffee, to have a slightly enlarged turret using the bush mechanic, getting a shot on the enemy. You can see the reload is fairly slow. Yeah, 4.31 by the book, and you can see that Picklefish has got 4.23. It's basically a standard Chaffee tank, but with a slightly better turret on it. They were testing various changes, and this was one of the intermediates before they came to the M41 Walker Bulldog, and it was just to see if it could actually improve the Chaffee. Now, if you've got one of these, you were gifted it after 4 years of playing as a well-deserved reward, although yes, I suppose they should give it to everyone, not just as a well-deserved reward, because it's almost a punishment to play it, or at least it seems like that to me. You know, they made 4,731 Chafees during the production, and it's actually quite a popular tank because there are plenty of them available for sale in America, and a lot of them are in fairly good condition as well, fairly pristine. And the reason for that is that it was actually quite an easy tank to make, and it's reasonably fast. It's not too much pressure to actually manufacture them. It wasn't a particularly heavy tank, actually. It was only about 23 to 24 tons in weight, so not that much. And they still remain popular as a tank because, of course, plenty of Americans can easily maintain these things and keep them up to scratch. In fact, I believe that there are some armies in the world who still have Chaffees, although I believe most of them have now gone into their reserve. And he's being fired at. That was not very careful, because he actually got fired on. But the T-3485M got taken out by a T-52 from a distance. So he actually picked up the spotting assist on that. In fact, he's doing quite well on spotting, 1,200 so far. He's being complete and utter nuisance to the enemy because he's actually spotting for our team and finding out where the enemy is. With that T-78 up there on the hill, he's still there, and so he needs to watch out because, yeah, he's in full view. He's trying to be careful, I think, more than anything. Yeah, he pops up. Oh, KV2, can't miss that. Yes, gets a nice... Oh, he got a fire! He got a fire, but unfortunately it was a premium fire extinguisher and it went off straight away. So he lost any chance of getting any more. Oh, he got another fire! He must have blown the fuel tank, and that's why when he hit him the second time round, he got another hit, and there's the Burt running for cover. The enemy team are down by 4 tanks now. Now, the T-78's retired to the back of the map, so he still needs to be careful because he could get hit by a 90mm round, and that would certainly crimp his style for the rest of the game. But he's spotting enemies still. There's only one Arty on our team, unfortunately, and it's an SU-8, and he's at the back. But there's plenty of targets for him to fire at. Panzerschwalten. Yes, gets one through the side. Nice hit. Got a high roll and another high roll. And that was a hit, but unfortunately the kill shot went to the heavy tank number 6. There's that T-78, yes. And he got the kill on him. Oh, well, that's revenge. And now, oh, this is an OI. Well, he doesn't want to get hit by that gun, and yes, the gun did turn towards him after he fired it. And he gets the spotting on the death of the OI. There's only 3 enemies left, one of them being the Burt, and there's the Burt. Thank you, we'll have some of that. And that slow reload. And he gets a hit in the tracks, and the Burt misses. And now we found the Hellcat and the IKB. So he's going to kill the Burt. Yep, one shot. Now he can go after these guys. He auto aims onto the 65, but takes the Hellcat instead. Doesn't get the kill. And he's just pumping shells into the IKB now. And, oh, takes a 90mm round in return. But that is the end of the game. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game for Picklefish in the Super Chaffee. He managed to get a spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage, a Viper effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle, a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits, in fact he got 10 in that one, and he got a patrol duty as well for being the only one spotting 6 enemy vehicles whilst they were damaged, and look at that win rate, very good indeed. 6,833, he was being a complete and utter nuisance to the enemy team, but that's exactly what he was supposed to do. Let's have a look at team score. Well, he didn't get the highest damage in the game. That actually went to the M4A3 Easy 8, who got a Confederate, not a high caliber, because he didn't get 20%. He got 2,263 hit points. The second highest damage, actually, oh, not that one, thank you, goes to the Hellcat on the enemy team, who got 1,504 hit points. And the third highest damage went to the Tiger 131 on Picklefish's team, who got 1,389, just 1 hit point more than Picklefish. So if he just got one more shot, he would have got the 3rd place. But sadly, no, he didn't. When it came to kills, though, he was actually in 2nd place, not joint 2nd place. The heavy tank number 6 got 5. In fact, some of those kills actually were courtesy of Picklefish's spotting. 3 kills went to Picklefish himself, and 2 kills went to the IKB-65-2, who did get a late shot in on Picklefish just before he got wiped out. When it came to base XP, though, it's Picklefish all the way. Look at that, 1,432. The only player over 1,000, and he's well over 1,000 because he was doing such a good job at spotting. 845 went to the Easy 8, and 816 went to the heavy tank number 6. He fired 20 rounds in all in that game, 16 direct hits on the enemy, 13 penetrations. He's pretty good, actually. 1,388 hit points of damage, of which 545 were at more than 300 meters, so some long-range shooting. 2 hits received, both penetrations, of course. Unfortunately, the first one was right at the start of the game. That was that T-78 fired a 90mm round into him, and the second one was the IKB-65-2 right at the end of the game, just before he died. 6 enemy vehicles were spotted, 7 enemy vehicles were damaged during that game, 3 were killed, and 2,808 hit points of spotting assist, and that's where he really did score, because by getting so much spotting, he massively increased his base XP and came out the winner in that one. 46,385 credits on a premium account for the battle, 23,192 from personal reserve, 69,577 altogether. And after repair and ammunition resupply, and yes, he did use some premium rounds, but not a lot, he ended up with 34,890 credits profit overall. 2,148 XP times 2 for the first victory, 644 for this being a premium vehicle, which you were gifted actually rather than bought. And normally you don't get much XP for the ones which you're gifted, but in this case he did get a lot. And 2,148 from personal reserve bonus, 7,088 experience points altogether. So the Super Chaffee, let's have a quick look at the armor profile for this one. It's very, very light on armor indeed. Don't let that that orange fool you to thinking that this is heavy armor. It's not. 25.4 millimeters on the upper plate at the front of the vehicle, coming out at 31. Lower plate is only 25, coming out at 30. Turret 25.4, coming out at 37. Yeah, basically hit this thing anywhere and it'll go straight through, even with light rounds, I would think. No, not light rounds, but 30mm rounds will definitely go through. 25.4 on the side, so it's basically the same amount of armor on the front as it is on the side of the vehicle. It's made light to make it go fast. 28mm effective armor on the sides of the turret the same. Engine deck is slightly less, 12.7, coming out at 14, and the rear of the tank is 19.1, so basically just 20mm or 2 centimeters of metal at the rear of the vehicle, and it's coming out at the same level. So, yes, Chaffee, let's have a quick look at the live. Yeah, it's green. Anything that touches this is going to go through. It's very, very light indeed. And that's probably why it gives good fuel economy to those people who actually still own them. Because, after all, running a tank and the cost of running a tank is normally fairly expensive, mostly in spares. But then you've got to think about the fact that most tanks guzzle fuel at a phenomenal rate. But the Chaffee doesn't, because it's actually quite light and quite small. And therefore, most people who own one can afford the bill for the fuel because it's not that bad. In fact, if I remember correctly, it's 2 petrol engines matched together in the Chaffee. But I think that's... I think, yes, I'm pretty sure it's 2 petrol engines at the back of this vehicle. And the gearbox is up front. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the modules. And it's bad news because the Super Chaffee is one of those ones which is not supported because Wargaming never gave them the model. But the good news is that we can look at the actual Chaffee, not the Super Chaffee. Instead, if I do that, there you go, there's the M24, and now we can see what a Chaffee looks like, even if we can't see what the Super Chaffee looks like. It's basically the same vehicle. And we've got the driver up front on the right-hand side, the driver's mate on the left-hand side, the gunner, machine gunner, and you've got that huge transmission directly in front of him. In fact, actually, it's more, it's a little higher. If you see on the model at Bovington Tank Museum, you can actually see, because they've done a cutaway on the front of the vehicle to show where that big transmission is located. We've got the gunner on the right-hand side of the turret, the tank commander directly behind him, and the loader on the left-hand side. The engine at the back is sandwiched between 2 fuel tanks, as you'd expect, and the ammo rack is actually in the floor of the vehicle, way down at the bottom. Well, I suppose then, in a sense, that's a good thing, because if it was any higher, if somebody auto-aimed on this, the shells would just go straight through, and you would probably get an ammo rack straight away. The radio is right in the bustle, so if you aim for the bustle on this one, you don't get a bang. What you get is you stop them communicating with other tanks. And if it's a light tank, then that's a good thing, because it means that they're less likely to communicate where you are. Well, they'll see, but they won't be telling their teammates. But anyway, this is where the modules are for the Chaffee, and of course it's basically the same for the Super Chaffee. So that's the end of this replay. I've actually got another one for you now, because 2 came in at the same time, and I thought, well, we'll try and string them together because you get a better replay that way. Let's go to it straight away. Okay, the second replay is on the Karelia Assault map, defending spawn, and we've got Wazwulf in the Cromwell B. Well, this is the premium version of the Cromwell tank. It's actually not much different from the standard Cromwell in many ways, because it's very fast, very agile medium tank. A lot of people buy the Cromwell B because they can use it in clan wars, and you end up with swarms of these things running together at the same time. It's either that or it's the T-3485M. 75mm gun, capable of 135 alpha, and it will penetrate through 145mm with standard AP, which is quite good. And then with the APCR, it will do 202mm. He's found one victim, and took a 75mm round up the rear as he departed, and went straight into a rock. Yeah, I think he was looking behind him more than ahead of him there. Okay, and he's being spotted. That is a light tank, and that's a light tank doing some damage. Fuel tanks. Well, he pumps one in and ram kills the guy. And because that was a higher tier opponent, the 1375 being tier 7, he actually managed to get a kamikaze out of that. He's lost a lot of his hit points though in the process. He's down to just 1/3 of it now. But it is useful to take out that tank, because that AMX 1375, an autoloader, he could have sat there and spotted for his team to tell them where to go next. Nice bit of agile work there, sliding into position. Just trying to spot the enemy at the moment. We do have a couple of light tanks on our team. A Super Chaffee and a T-37. But unfortunately, the one of them's gone up the north end of the map. He's not doing his job properly. And the other one is hanging around near the cap area. So yeah, they're not doing their jobs as light tanks. In fact, I say the Super Chaffee doesn't know how to play, because yes, he just got killed up in the north fighting where the heavy tanks are. Not a smart move. Well, you can see that Wazwulf is being cautious. He waited until the T-3485 got taken out, and now he's crossing the river into the enemy rear. Oh, mama, he's found a Super Hellcat and manages to dodge a shell. And he's now spotting basically for his teammates as that Super Hellcat retreats. But the enemy's going to know he's here. Will they counter? I don't know, but if he can get close to that Super Hellcat, he can probably pump rounds to him, because Super Hellcat's got the 90mm gun with a slow reload, and he's got a faster reload. Locks on, and now that Super Hellcat's going to be a dead duck. And he's fluffed his shot, which means kill shot. And we didn't get to see it, but he actually just auto-aimed on, and away he goes. Now he's actually forced the enemy to come back off the horseshoe, because our team are coming up behind. He's going to come up behind the enemy and really annoy them. And he's just found the Arty. And the Arty's fluffed his shot, but that's understandable. Oh, that one went into the ground because he's auto-aiming. Because he's moving so quickly. I just get behind the KV2. He's pumped to him. Kill shot. Yes! And the M12's going to try and ram him. Nope, that's not going to happen. And he gets that kill as well. There's only 5 enemies left. Very good run. He's pushing this. It's Wazwulf that's leading the charge. The enemy's now in total disarray. And it all comes to the fact that he's used the superior speed of this Cromwell B to take on the enemy and find out where they are, and then harass them as his teammates come up behind him and wipe them out. And of course, he's picking up the some of the bits of the off their table as well. Jagdpanther, who's aiming at his teammates, but is now about to get right royally killed. Yes, he's out the game. In fact, it was the Skoda T25 who took the kill off that one. And now he's locked on. That guy's gone. The Poodle. Now there's only one left. It's the Caro P88. And he's going to come up behind this guy who's facing off against our KV2. And he's just going to be totally distracted. And he's been asked to platoon. And look at that. Kill shot. Nicely played by Wazwulf. Well, very late platoon, but very welcome for Wazwulf. He got a first-class tanker in that game because he dominated it by pushing all the way. He got a fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. He ended up with 5 in the end, 1/3 of the enemy team, and just 1 short of getting a top gun. He got that kamikaze because he took out the AMX 1375, the tier 7 French light tank, by ram killing him, as well as a fire protect for doing more damage than the hit points for his own vehicle, a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits, in fact he got 8, and he picked up an Oskins medal because he took out 3 enemy vehicles or tank destroyers in a medium tank in one battle, and he took out the M12, that was a tier 7, and he took out the Super Hellcat, that was tier 7, and of course he got the AMX 1375, and that was tier 7. So very well done picking up an Oskins medal. And of course, right at the last minute, he managed to get that Brothers in Arms. Normally, Wargaming don't allow it, or at least you have to try and press that platoon button before you get to the end phase. Otherwise, you just can't pick up that additional award. After all, you do deserve it. You did manage to get 3 kills, and so did your teammate. So anyway, 5,895 was the win rate. That's very good. Super Unicum standard. Let's have a look at team score. He didn't get the highest damage in that game. No, that actually went to the CS44. Got a Confederate, not high caliber. Wasn't 20%. 2,069 hit points went to the CS44. Second highest damage was the KV2 with 1,781. And Wazwulf wasn't far behind with 1,753. When it came to kills, though, he was way out ahead. He got 5 kills. 3 kills went to his platoon mate, the Jackson, and 3 kills also to the enemy Poodle, which he killed. I think he killed the Poodle. Did he? Just check that. Did he kill the Poodle? No, he didn't. Somebody else got the Poodle before him. That was the one. If he had killed it, that would have given him the top gun. So he didn't get it, but he wanted it. Okay, so not quite. He didn't quite get that one. And when it came to kills, obviously 5 kills, 3 kills, we've done that bit. And then when it came to base XP, yes, he got 1,262 base. The only player to get over 1,000. The second highest being the KV2 with 736, and the third highest being the CS44 with 689. He fired 18 rounds in that game, 16 direct hits on the enemy, 14 penetrations. This 75mm gun is actually fairly good. It does, you know, as you can see, he got a good conversion rate on his shots. 1,753 hit points, all of it done at close range. 3 hits received. Yep, 2 of those came from the AMX 1375, unfortunately, right at the start of the game. But that's the trouble with going up against an autoloader. They can pump those rounds in fairly quickly. And all shots that hit him were penetrations. I'm afraid the armor on a Cromwell isn't that particularly good. You'll see that in the armor model. 5 enemy vehicles spotted, 7 enemy vehicles damaged, 5 killed, 825 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 56,369 credits from the game, 28,184 from personal reserves, 84,553 credits for the battle, and after repair and ammunition resupply, took away 75,128 credits profit, 1,893 XP, 11,358 for completing a mission. That's a big bonus, and 568 for this being a premium vehicle you actually have to buy. He ended up with 13,819 experience points altogether, so his crew skills jumped a bit there, and that's certainly going to help him on future battles. So let's have a quick look at the Cromwell. Yes, Cromwell B, we do have the armor profile. You can see it looks fairly good, but it's actually not. Look at this, 25mm. It's about the same thickness of armor as you saw on the Super Chaffee. Very thin indeed. And the lower plate, yes, well, the lower plate's angled enough that if you actually hit it from the front, you're more than likely ricochet. 25mm coming out at 38, but it's actually the angle that actually is helping there. All these flat surfaces, when the tank drivers came out of the desert, or the tank crews came out of the desert, they took one look at the Cromwell, which was supposed to be their brand new tank for fighting the Germans, and they thought, oh no, weren't they listening to anything we said? Because, of course, yes, it does have some angled armor, but not enough. There's too many flat surfaces which the German gunners could aim at. And yes, look at that flat surface there, 63.5 millimeters coming out at 63. The turret 76.2 coming out at 76.2. All of the thicknesses, which of course a German Panzer IV and Panzer III could actually penetrate. So it's not as if it's actually helping this tank to have those flat surfaces. In fact, it certainly wasn't, because they were coming up against Panthers, the Panther Kampfwagen 5, which is actually very effective with that 75mm round of punching holes in Cromwells. So Cromwells tended to act very much like light tanks in many ways. They would hunt the enemy down. They would act as light tanks, find the enemy for their teammates to then take out in the larger groups of Shermans and Fireflies, who could then take out the Tiger tanks. You can see even the side armor on this vehicle is very, very thin indeed. 42.9 coming out 46. It's all flat-sided stuff, and that's why I think they were so angry, because the fact is that nobody had been listening to them about angling the armor to make it more easy for the shells to bounce off. You can see the engine deck of the Cromwell is very thin, 14mm, so you should be able to take out one of these with an Arty round. Even the turret, only 20mm, so if you can land a shell on top of it, you should be okay. The rear of the Cromwell, only 31mm, but it's still fairly thin, easy to pen. Let's have a look at the live model. Yep, it's all green, so yeah, everything, even with the 75mm round, you're just going to go straight through that armor. Not so good. Let's have a quick look at the modules. We do have the module map for the Cromwell B. We've got the driver on the left-hand side, because after all, this is a British tank. We drive on the left-hand side of the road, so we want our driver on the right-hand side when he's driving. And of course, he's got the driver's mate right next door to him, operating the machine gun. We've got the gunner right next door to the gun on the right-hand side, with the tank commander directly behind him, loader on the left-hand side. There's a radio directly behind the commander. The ammo rack is actually directly behind the gunner, the driver in the front of the tank, and there's another one in the center of the tank underneath the turret. You can see again engine sandwiched between two fuel tanks, and the transmissions at the rear of the vehicle, because it's a British vehicle, so it drives from the rear. And there you go, that's where all the modules are. The unfortunate thing about having that ammo rack where it's actually situated is that if you can punch around straight through the front of a Cromwell, you're more than likely going to either contact the ammo rack at the front of the vehicle or the one at the rear. And if you are punching around through the side, best not to aim for the turret, unless it's better to actually aim for just behind or just at the rear of the turret, to get that large ammo rack at the rear, or to try and hit the engine and the fuel tanks. So you want to aim for the rear of the vehicle, really, to set one of these off. But that's where the modules are on the Cromwell B. So I hope you enjoyed both those replays. They're both very fast and exciting battles. In the first one, a Super Chaffee being used as a light tank, getting light tank rewards. And in the second battle, a Cromwell B leading the charge, basically telling everyone where to go and what to do, and picking up the scraps from the table after distracting the enemy and allowing his teammates to get kills, and of course then coming out with the best results in the game. So if you enjoyed these replays, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below, because it feeds the algorithm, gets it noticed by other people, and we want people to see your replays. So we want them to see these videos. Precious few do, I'm afraid. Yeah, we don't get enough attention, but we try. And thank you for watching.